Oh, hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy Monday Night Football doubleheader. Hopefully, you have everything locked up to win these weeks for your fantasy teams. But it was a weird one, and we've got a lot to talk about here today, right here. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam, Ronis with you for the next couple of hours. And Adam, how you doing? I know we were texting back and forth yesterday. You had an up and down day, but at least your fantasy teams did all right. I think that's the big takeaway. How you doing?
Yeah, Sunday was not a great day for me from a baseball perspective, and but we won't talk about that.
No, we don't have
Football,
to.
football was better, certainly with fantasy teams. Although the Malik Nabers injury is crushing.
Yeah.
Still waiting for confirmation. I don't think it's been confirmed that he has the torn ACL.
I would
But
just
we usually
assume.
know. Yeah, we
Yeah.
usually know.
They
So
ruled him out pretty quick, and usually we don't get the report right after. But they were telling us that report. I think we were seeing that before the game even ended. That they said that he was feared to have the torn ACL.
yeah, and they
Um,
usually know pretty quickly. So that stunk. And then I figured Dallas would lose on Sunday night,
Hey.
and it was a tie, which is
would
very
you have rather
unsatisfying.
lost?
No, I'd rather win. Although I don't even think it matters for this team at this point. But
I was
uh,
shocked by that though. They put
at
up a
least
fight.
at least it was entertaining. At least some
Yeah.
points were put up. At least Dak Prescott came through. A lot of people buried him this week, had him very low in the rankings, wanted to start others over him, and been saying he has been playing well this season. It didn't translate to stats, and it finally did last night with 3 passing touchdowns and
Yeah.
a rushing touchdown. So, and won my bets on Green Bay. So,
Hey, there we go.
yeah, overall, I guess
That's
it
a
was
good
a better
day.
day.
Yeah, come on. That's a good day. I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, it started off as a weird day. You don't know how many messages I got about Warren. Oh my gosh,
Well, okay.
Jaylen Warren.
First
Yeah,
of all
I
right.
sent you a text.
I know that. First of all, this is on everyone. I understand that there are people on the West Coast that it's early for them, and you guys went to bed, or everyone went to bed with the national insider saying Warren is likely to play. But there are occasions where they're wrong, or the player goes out, warms up, and it doesn't work out. And I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, I got stuck with Warren in the lineup." This is all on you guys. You got to look in the mirror. And no, I'm serious though. Like,
No, I know.
because what do you want? You want people to bail you out? You want commissioners to change things? There's a reason why rules are in place, and you can't make exceptions. So set your alarm clock. We have 9:30 a.m. Eastern games the next 3 weeks. Set your alarm a half hour before the game, 10 minutes before the game, whatever, to make sure, wake up, because that's part of the game. And there's nothing you could do about it. So you have to just take the zero if you didn't wake up in time and be like, oh, well, the report said this and that. I get it. It's not ideal. Trust me. I don't like waking up early. I was up early, obviously.
You were working.
Well, yeah, I have the show here on the
Yeah.
channel
I'm gonna
and
say you were
NFL
up.
radio at 7 a.m.
Mhm.
Eastern every Sunday with Gene Clemens. So I was up. And yeah, during the show, I'm like, oh, wow, breaking news. And I said it several times. So people
Yeah.
who were just joining would know, get Warren out of your lineup. So it's unfortunate. I do feel bad for people on the West Coast, but you guys know that there's a real early game. You have to make sure to get up because these things happen. I think there was another one of these. There was
Yeah, you were saying that last year that there was one, but I couldn't
I don't know if it was
remember-
last year, but definitely in the last few years,
Yeah,
there's been
I couldn't remember
a couple.
who it was.
It was a
but
couple.
yeah.
And then again, I told you a situation where someone woke up and they forgot to put someone in the lineup and they
Yeah.
asked the commissioner in the third quarter after the guy had 3 touchdowns, hey, can I make the change? And again, ultimately, it's your responsibility. There's a reason why rules are in place. We can't have the problem is once you start changing it, then you open the door for all these situations. And it's just simple. You're responsible. Get up, make the change. If you don't, you leave the guy in there, that's on you. And yes, the report was he was likely going to play, but these things happen. It's a long flight. His knee could have been, got more swollen. Tried to play through it. Team officials told reporters, yeah, he's going to go. He's fine. And then you get to the stadium, you warm up, and you don't feel well, or you're in too much pain and you can't go. So I'm not taking shots at you because I think you said it happened
Oh
to you.
no, yeah. It
But
did
I'm just
happen to
being,
me.
I'm just trying to help people going forward and commissioners who are put in tough spots. You can't make the change. It's ultimately on each individual to make that change.
I put it to a vote in one of my leagues. That's it.
Why?
I put it
Someone
to a
had
vote.
Warren in there?
Someone had Warren in there,
Nah, see, I don't
and
even
I
think
put
you
it
can
to
put it.
a I put
And
it
what
to a
was the
West
vote?
Coast. I put it to the West Coast vote. They
And
said
what'd they
no.
say?
They said no.
Yeah, I don't think.
But
See,
I
I
put
don't
it to
even
a
think.
vote because I didn't have anything. And now I know to put it in the rules because I actually didn't have anything written out.
Yeah,
And
but,
so I said, okay,
what do you
listen,
need to put in the rules? There shouldn't even been a vote. It's
you
simple.
know what happens in some of these. It's not in the rules.
No, what do you
I
mean
was
not
like,
in the rules? It
listen,
doesn't
I
need to
know,
be in the rules. You
I
set
know.
your lineup. What's the difference between this and a Sunday night game?
No, I know. That's why I put
It's
it
the
to a
same
vote, and I said,
thing.
listen, we can do this, but it was
No,
voted
see,
down.
that's where there's no vote. It's you set your lineup. You're responsible. If you don't take them out, that's on you. This shouldn't even be a vote. This is not even a topic of discussion in my mind. It's
Yeah.
it's up to each individual. Yes, you know that. See, now all you guys on the West Coast, even some people on the East Coast, I heard, woke up late and didn't get him out.
Oh
So it's
yeah.
not just a West Coast thing. Obviously, 6:30 a.m. is very early, or 6 a.m. when you need to set your lineup. I get it, but now you know going forward. We have 3 more the next 3 weeks, and then I think a couple more after that, right?
I think there's a lot here. And let me look up. And then they just put that news out a couple days ago that they're going to be doing more international games in
Yeah.
Brazil to
So
start
this
the
is only
season.
going to get worse. So get ready for
keep
it.
setting your keep setting your alarms. No, there's a lot of them this year. I don't have the exact schedule in front of me, but yeah, I see. I mean, so we already did Kansas City and the
Yeah, and I know the
Chargers.
next 3
So
weeks.
it's the next 3 weeks, and then November 9th is
Mhm.
Falcons Colts in Berlin, and then you've got Commanders Dolphins November 16th in Madrid. So a
Okay.
total of 4, 5, 6, 7 international games total
Yeah,
this year.
6 more. So hey, just
That's
beware of
crazy.
that and set those
1, 2,
alarm
3, 4,
clocks.
5. Yeah. It was a crazy day. You knew it was going to be a weird week 4 when that is how you started your day. I can't imagine how many times you and Jean said it on the air to just make sure everyone knew when you guys were live yesterday. But it was odd. And depending on, I got some messages saying it doesn't matter. Depending on who other people could have put into their starting lineups, they almost had the same exact amount of scoring as a 0-0 from Jaylen Warren. But it was an odd start to the day, and then it just continued on and got weirder. But yeah, set those alarms. Again, there's another one this coming week, and then we get a little bit of a break. But again, October 5th is going to be Browns traveling, facing off against the Minnesota Vikings in London. That should be a fun one. But yeah, just an odd day. You want to finish breaking down your game yesterday, Cowboys? I was actually pleasantly surprised. It was not a game that I was expecting to go the way that it did. But for Sunday Night Football, 40-40 tie. Lame, by the way. Don't like that. It just feels unfinished, don't you think? You're just like, this
Yeah.
is it. You go back and forth. The Cowboys scored first in OT, 22-yard field goal by Brandon Aubrey, and then you had 4:40 left. Man, that last play though by the Packers, I
Boy,
thought they
did they
weren't gonna.
get lucky.
Wow,
What
I
happened to
didn't.
the hometown clock operator?
What
Let
was
that
going
second go. What
on?
are we
I
doing?
was
Is he from
like,
Wisconsin?
I couldn't believe it. I said, wow, they're really going to not get this playoff, or because the ball needs to hit off something in order for the clock to stop. And so I was watching this play, start, and I said, wow, this is not going to be enough time. But eventually, I mean, tried to go to Matthew Golden, and they deflected the ball with 1 second left, and then you had Green Bay settle for the 34-yard field goal from Brandon McManus. Time expired, and that was tie the game 37-37, and then overtime. It was weird. I just wasn't happy with it.
It was. I
Wanted
think,
something
though, from
else.
a fantasy perspective, you were pretty much happy across the board. As I mentioned, Dak Prescott with a huge game. Javonte Williams, once again, just a massive workload. I did not see this coming. That was one guy that I didn't
Mhm.
want to draft, and I am stunned of how, number one, okay, week 1, I was like, oh, okay, he fell in the end zone twice, but he's looked better each week. I don't know where this came from because we didn't see it last year. 23 touches in this game, scored another touchdown. Miles Sanders did get banged up late in the game, too, so that's something to keep an eye on. Maybe we finally see Jaden Blue, but for right now, Javonte Williams looking like one of the better value picks because, again, no one
Yeah.
wanted him in drafts. Like, he was going 9th, 10th round, sometimes a little later. George Pickens, you wanted to see him perform with CeeDee Lamb out being the main guy there, and he did. 11 targets, did have a drop, but overall made a great catch as well
Yeah.
along the sideline. So 8 catches, 134, and 2 touchdowns. So you'll have to see that. Jake Ferguson finally scored. It's been a while since he fell in the end zone. 7 for 40. So you feel good about that. Tolbert and Turpin both were okay. Tolbert made an amazing catch late in
Man,
the
that was
game,
phenomenal.
that
Yeah.
34-yarder. So that kind of boosted his stat line. So that's the one thing, neither of those guys really did much in a game that they put up 40. So they're going to be more bye week fill-ins at this point. And then on the Green Bay side, I mean, I was all over Jordan Love's passing prop, 234.5. I mean, to me, that was a layup. And he had 337, 3 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, another big game as you expect. Romeo Dobbs, I mean, geez,
Oh
6
my
for
gosh.
58 and
Who
3
would have thought?
touchdowns.
The hat trick from Romeo Dobbs was not on my bingo card, but congrats
Yeah.
to anyone. We talked about him last week of just someone that it's always going to be uncomfortable starting any one of these guys, but he really stepped up for you if you were in a pinch this week. My goodness.
Yeah, it's still good. Look, this was a great scoring environment. You knew this would be the case. You might have been worried, like, okay, well, what if Green Bay jumps out, has a comfortable lead, and then they sit on the ball, and they didn't need to do that. Matthew Golden, 5 for 58 and a 5-yard carry. Are you happy with this game? I know you have him.
For what? Sorry.
Matthew Golden. Are you
No.
happy with
I
this
mean,
game?
I'm I think that I'm never going to be as satisfied as where I ended up taking him because he continued to get more and more expensive as the weeks went on. I don't hate it though. You're going to be able to take it, especially if you're in those deeper formats where, like ours, GST, and some of those high stakes leagues. It's like you're starting a ton of receivers, you got a ton of flex options. So I wasn't necessarily thrilled with it, but I think this is just what I'm going to have to take. Right? This is just what it feels like it's going to be.
Yeah, I thought it would be a little bit better of a game again in PPR 10.8 than the 5-yard carry. So
Mhm.
not bad, but I think you were hoping for a touchdown or maybe more explosive plays in this game. I took his longest reception prop over 22 and a half yards, and he nailed it on his first catch where
Yeah, nice.
it was a fast break, right? 2 Packers in the same area, 1 Cowboy defender. It's like, and then he makes that play. I think Wicks was the other receiver in the area, and Golden went to get it. I'm like, thank you. Uh, Tucker Kraft missed 2 touchdowns barely. That kind of sucked if you had Tucker Kraft. But again, in PPR with a tight end, you'll take 10.6. I mean, that
Oh, for
is
sure.
every week you'll take that. So overall, though, from a fantasy perspective, you got what you want.
Yeah, it was I thought there was going to be a little bit more on the Packers side for defensively. That's the one thing that I thought, and it just didn't go that way. I mean, when you look at just the second half and overtime, it was weird. Entering week 4, the Packers ranked 3rd in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game, and that was tied for 3rd in yards per rush allowed as well. And the Cowboys, they were able to run what 26 times, 117 yards, 4.5 yards per carry. That was the thing I think I was a little bit surprised about that. But you said it, Javonte Williams is doing all of his fantasy managers a ton of favors, and he is probably going to be someone at the end of the season that we sit down and we say who was some of the best value picks. And if he's not at the top, he's very close to the top of value picks from drafts this season.
If he can hold up. I mean, you
If he
got to
can
say that
hold
about
up.
everyone. But yeah, I mean, right now through 4 weeks, he is definitely up there because how often do you get a bell cow running back that commands the backfield in round 9, 10, 11? It's usually
Mhm.
maybe rookies like a Bucky Irving last year where it took some time, but it's rare because usually those guys are coveted. We all see it coming. I think people just doubted whether number one, he would have this much volume in the backfield, and would he be this effective based on what we saw last year and how he has not looked the same since coming off that injury? And it's not like there was a demand for him either. Well, the Cowboys paid
No.
him $3 million,
Yeah, it was
so
nothing. Is that a 1-year deal?
I think it was. I
Yeah,
believe it was. Yeah. Um,
crazy.
but I will say this though about Dallas, like this is perplexing because like where was this offense last week in the shootout that we expected with the Bears? They didn't score in the second half. Now maybe it was the CD Lamb injury took them off guard and threw them off. But this is more of the offense we expected, right? We knew the
For sure.
defense was going to be terrible, and we expected, all right, this is going to be like the Bengals of the AFC, where the defense is going to be bad. They're going to put up points. They did it against the Giants. They did it against Green Bay. I don't know what happened against Chicago. Even against Philly in week 1 against a really good defense, they were moving the football. It's just they couldn't convert. So if you look at their schedule coming up, at the Jets, at the Panthers, Commanders. So they should be putting up points the
Yeah.
next 3 weeks.
Yeah, they definitely should be. Again, this game did not go how I expected, but still fun nonetheless because we love high scoring affairs because that means we get more fantasy points. Micah Parsons was pretty quiet in this return, which I don't know if people expected that or what.
Did you see they
But
gave him the sack on where he tackled Dak from behind and it was no gain? They were interviewing Dak and he's like, yeah, and he had no sacks. They're like, no, he gave him one. They're like, what? They gave him a sack when he tackled me from behind?
Interesting. I did not see that. I didn't think they.
It was pretty funny. But
Oh.
I guess that's the rule because it was a no gain on the play because Dak kind of like was scrambling.
Yeah.
Parsons. Oh, you were probably sleeping for this, right?
No, I was actually awake for this one
okay.
because I wanted to. I mean, if it was a tie, trust me, I would have. If you told me it was going to end in a tie, I would have just gone to bed. But yeah, no, I wanted to see how it ended. But yeah, True Media said that the Packers pressured Prescott on only 10 of his 40 throws, which again,
is
like,
surprising. They had two
shocking.
Injuries on the offensive line. I know
Yes.
Green Bay had injuries too on their line, and
No, I
there's a
was
lot of
surprised.
teams throughout the NFL that have problems on their offensive line.
Oh yeah, I see it now. He was sacked once. That second and goal at the 4, right? Yeah.
Yeah, on Dallas's
That is
last possession.
surprising. All right.
Did save
all
a
right.
touchdown or close to it.
It did. You were, regardless though, you were happy with at least the fantasy points scored, like you said. That's really all that we were focusing on. And George Pickens, I know you and I talked about George Pickens last week, what it would look like without CeeDee Lamb in there. But again, 33.4 PPR fantasy points, second best output of his 52 game career. And then Dak Prescott, if you started him, I started him mostly everywhere because I didn't have better options except one. I went Daniel Jones instead just to put my hand up. That was not a good move, but you live and you learn.
Over Dak,
Over
right?
Dak, yeah.
I can't really
I had Jones
blame you
top.
for that.
I had Jones top 6 this week, and Dak was outside my top 13.
Okay, wow, Jones top 6? Like I
think
can see
so.
like top 10.
Let me check.
Wow. All right. I mean, look, I felt like we might not get the best Jones game in this matchup against the Rams, and of course, he threw 2 picks.
Yeah.
He didn't run. 1 carry for minus
No.
1. That's a little. And the other thing now too, with Jonathan Taylor, not only do you have to worry about Daniel Jones stealing goal line carries, now you got to worry about Tyler Warren.
I know. What is going on? Just kidding. I ranked him 9. QB9.
Daniel Jones. Okay.
6 was Drake May, who I did start in.
Yeah, that was
nice,
I had
though.
that decision
6
too,
was
May
May,
or
and I was like,
Jones, and I
okay,
went Drake
wait.
May.
I flipped him, but yeah, Daniel Jones. You kind of knew that a game like this might come his way because of how pure it's been for the first few weeks. But they put up a fight in that game too. We're gonna.
Boy,
talk
let's
about
not
that
forget
one.
real quick.
What? Who?
If A.D.
What?
Mitchell didn't
Oh my,
fumble that ball as he
I have it
approached
in
the
the
goal
water
line,
cooler.
he would have
Can
had
you believe that?
another touchdown for Daniel Jones.
What are we doing? What's going? They could have won that game. I mean, really,
Yeah.
that's hindsight. But I mean, and it's remember the Jonathan Taylor one? Was that last year or 2 years ago where he
Was
did that?
I think it was last year, right?
I don't know. We're just having so much fun. It all blends together. Do you remember that though? And
Yeah.
that was, I think that was that not the fantasy playoffs?
It
was-
might
It
have
was
been.
15, 16, or 17 because I remember people were mad as they should have been. But yeah, A.D. Mitchell, what are we doing? Have we not learned?
I don't think
can't
that was
celebrate
like I think he just lost the ball.
You don't think it was a celebration?
No, I think he just lost the ball.
Well, you live and you learn. That stinks. What do we not do though? We don't message players on Instagram or Twitter.
No,
That's what we don't
never.
do. Don't do that. Anyone listening knows that everyone should have that rule, but here on this show, we know we don't do that. So don't send him a message. He already knows. He already feels bad. But yeah, yikes. That was not a good one. We're going to continue on. Adam, it's an Overreaction Monday. Everyone knows that by now. So we are going to overreact to everything that we saw in week 4. Speaking of Puka Nacua and the Rams, sorry to anyone that faced either of those two. We got to go to Jaxson Dart, maybe the hero that the Giants needed. We're breaking those down and more here coming up next. Oh yeah, appreciate everyone hanging out with us on this Monday morning. Don't forget you got the Monday Night Football doubleheader. So I see some Monday Night Miracles coming in here, Adam. People need our just what we think that they're going to do if they're going to be able to win these games tonight or these matchups. So we'll start going through those. Appreciate everyone sending in questions at Valenzuela17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. We'll also open up the phone lines here in a little bit. Jaxson Dart. The hero that the Giants needed. We said this last week because I remember us going through some of our survivor picks and you said this could be a trap. This game in general could be a trap. And I was like, yeah, went back and forth, didn't end up picking them, but the New York Giants got their first win of the season, and it was electric. Adam, you saw them beat the Los Angeles Chargers 21-18 on Sunday in Jaxson Dart's first career start. Completed 13 of 20 for 111 and a touchdown, no interceptions. And then it was really, I mean, the big thing here with Jaxson Dart that we've been saying for months is what he could potentially bring on the ground. He does have rushing upside. We're not talking about, Jaden Daniels-esque or anything like that, but when you look at what he was able to do, rush for 54 yards on 10 carries and had the 15-yard touchdown run in the first quarter. If you were streaming Jaxson Dart, if you had to pick him up, if you had him in a super flex league, you were very happy with what you saw in Dart in this game, and I was surprised, but they got that win. Love to see it.
Yeah, certainly in a super flex league, you were happy. I doubt many people played him in a one quarterback league. Maybe you were desperate.
Yeah.
I was wrestling with the decision between him and Dak in a league, and ultimately I went Dak. Thank goodness.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh
But good ball control here by the Giants. They kept the Chargers offense off the field. Chargers only had the ball for 24-32. So I'm sure, too, with the injury to Nabers, that's going to make them a little bit more run heavy as well. That's what hurts Dart. Losing someone like Nabers, I think, does hurt him a little bit. But again, he has the ability to run. And we've talked about how these quarterbacks with that rushing floor, it's going to put him in a good spot. He had the 54 yards rushing and a touchdown, only passed for 111 yards, but only had 20 pass attempts. And you figure once they're playing with the lead, that's what they want to do, run the football. So Cam Scatteraboo had a massive workload here, 27 touches in this game. Didn't score a touchdown, kind of came close a few times, but you'll take the 27 touches and know that there'll probably be better days ahead. He'll find the end zone. He'll probably catch more passes, too. We saw it last week when they were playing from behind. They are playing the Saints next week, but then they have the Eagles twice in 3 weeks. So there will be games where they'll be playing from behind, and Scatteraboo will probably catch more passes.
And the big piece of news here is the unfortunate injury to Malik Nabers. Already did the write-up, fantasylife.com. If you guys want to go and check out the waiver wire article early, we'll be breaking it down tomorrow. But Malik Nabers feared to have torn his ACL. That came out during, I remember at least getting a notification while the games were still going on that was the fear for him. Haven't gotten confirmation yet this morning, Adam. I checked Twitter. Maybe I'll check it again and see if that happens. But he's undergoing all the MRIs today to confirm kind of the nature of the injury, but really brutal. I mean, all injuries are absolutely awful, but these last couple of weeks has just been really bad for key players on NFL teams and then also key players to our fantasy football team. So you could tell when he went down, he was in so much pain, and it was just really sad to watch. And you hope that he's able to get healthy sooner rather than later. But the expectation should be now moving forward that you're not going to be having him for the rest of the year.
Yeah, someone that drafted him in at least 3 leagues that I remember off the top of my head. This is not good, and it's tough to replace, right? When you lose your first-round pick in fantasy football, it's tough. It doesn't mean your season's over. There's nothing you could do. You could hang your head yesterday, but time to move on. Look ahead to the waiver wire. See if you can make a trade. Do whatever you can to improve your team. And in the deeper formats, it's even more difficult, but nothing you could do at this point, right? You just have to move on. It happens every year, and you just have to hope that you can put the pieces together to form a solid team just to get into the playoffs. Hopefully you drafted well and you have some players off the bench that could jump into the starting lineup. So, I know in one of the leagues I have Nabers, I have Woody Marks on the bench. So at least I could put him in. It's not the same, but it's still someone on my bench that I was not planning on starting. Now, seeing what happened with Marks and his role grow each and every week, now you're like, okay, well, at least I have him. In the other league, I probably don't have anything close to that, but
that's okay.
We'll go to the waiver wire this week and see what's there.
We check later tonight. Everyone just enjoy their days right now. You don't have to look through everything, but I mean, it's true. And everyone knows that listens to us. We say this all the time. And, but it is true. You don't give up on it though. There's going to continue being injuries throughout the year. And you do not know, how these games are going to fall for you and your matchups over the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks. So that's the other part of it. And so you can go to the waiver. I was talking to someone yesterday and they said, "Oh, I'm cooked. I have Malik Nabers. They had someone else that went down." But I looked at their record and they're 2-2. They're going to win this week. So I said, "No, no, no. 2-2. Even with these injuries, you can still go through it. It's going to be an uphill battle. That's one part of it, but you can work the waiver wire. And with these bye weeks coming up, some of these games that you think, or some of these matchups between you and your league mates that you don't think are going to be necessarily close, they do turn your way with these bye weeks coming up. We've got 4 this week, so yeah, just don't give up on it. That's not an overreaction, Adam. That's the truth.
Yeah, for sure.
It's tough.
It is tough. And again, there are teams you look at now and you're like, wow, this team is great. Like an opponent, and injuries could change things. So we've seen this in fantasy sports. It doesn't matter where you are at the beginning of the year. It's all about the end. So it could look bleak right now. Just keep plugging away, and you never know. You might get 1 or 2 players off the waiver wire that become starters every week and perform the rest of the year. So, yeah, you just got to keep going. I think too many people give up. They get deflated. Oh, I lost my first round pick. My third round pick stinks. My fourth round pick. Don't matter. You just got to keep going. And
yeah,
it's tough. Trust me. I don't feel good about losing Nabers. I know it puts me in a tough spot, but what can I do? Can't sit here and cry about it. You can cry for like 5-10 minutes, maybe yesterday, but now it's time to move on and look to improve your team.
It has been brutal though. I saw someone sent me some screenshots, and if that's how you guys cope, send all the screenshots you like of your teams that are just decimated with injuries. But someone showed me it was like a Joe Burrow, Terry McLaurin, or Mike Evans, and now Malik Nabers team, and I just said with James Conner or something crazy where you just look and you're like, oh man, that absolutely stinks. But hey, don't worry, we're gonna talk through waiver wire names to know tomorrow. But again, just it's an overreaction Monday. You can call in too with any of your complaints, your sorrows. We are here to listen. Going to continue on with Overreaction Monday, though, Adam, and I'm really excited about this because we get to talk with Jack Mancuso. So we're going to go through the winners. At least we get to talk about something good. Winners from week 4, our expectations for them moving forward. Talk with him about some of the best seasonings that I've also used throughout the last couple of weeks. So we're going to do that here coming up next. This is Fantasy Life right here. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam, Ronis with you on this Overreaction Monday, and it is time to overreact a little bit, at least to the winners that we saw in week 4, and I'm so excited to be talking with Jack Mancuso here right now, the official grill master of the Buffalo Bills, the creator of Cuso's Seasoning, 3.5 million followers on TikTok, by the way, so you've probably seen him with the Buffalo Bills, especially if you guys are Buffalo Bills fans, but at Fantasy Life, we're excited because we have come together with the Cuso's team for No Bad Beats, No Bad Meats campaign. So you can submit your bad beat stories at cusocuts.com/fantasylife to win free Cusos and have your stories read on the Fantasy Life show with Ian Harditz. And Jack, welcome in. We get to talk about the winners though. Like we have no bad beats right now in this segment because everyone's a winner if they started some of these guys. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for that awesome intro, and thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now we're talking about something positive too.
Exactly. No, I'm not kidding. If anyone hasn't gone and checked out the Cuso seasonings, like they are so incredible and they are so fun to just work with. So shout out to just you and your team because they are absolutely amazing. My favorite's personally Dirt, which I know people probably listening are like, wait, what? No, it has to be one of my favorites. It has to be one of yours too, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, Dirt is a great one. I think it's one of our best sellers for sure.
Yeah.
I think that one started off as like a joke because it has activated charcoal in it. And it was like, I dropped it in Dirt, but then we ended up making a seasoning called Dirt.
It's so good. It's so good. Adam, don't worry. I'll make one the next time and I'll send it to you. How's that?
Good. Yeah. I'm not the cook. I just eat.
Yeah. We'll do it that way. Well, we're talking through winners here in this segment here. Again, being joined here by Jack Mancuso. So I want to start with Ashton Jeanty here, Jack, because this is a big winner for us, someone that we've waited for 4 weeks to hopefully step up. And now all of a sudden you get 33.8 points in week 4 with that win, with that, when you look at them, 33.8 points, but it was a really, really good game. And so Ashton Jeanty managers, they're happy with this one.
Yeah, I'm happy for him, honestly, because I think he struggled a little bit in the first couple of weeks. So it's really good to see him have a 3 touchdown game. I mean, it was awesome to watch.
Adam, it was one where we just said be patient, right? We said buy low. We said if there's anything that you can do with Ashton Jeanty right now, it's just wait and buy low on him. And if you were able to do that too, it paid off.
Yeah, we talked about it too. The first few weeks of the season, he actually looked fine. If you watch the games, it was really the offensive line that was the big problem. And in this matchup against Chicago, he was able to take advantage of it. And yeah, there were a lot of people who wanted to bench him, who were really frustrated. And we've said it numerous times with these rookie running backs. Sometimes it will take a few weeks for them to get comfortable in the NFL and for the role to grow. The role was always there for Jeanty, but a little bit more involved in the passing game too. That certainly helped.
We knew the explosive playability. Like we knew he was always going to be explosive. He's got the high end contact balance, everything that you need. So now you move forward and you just know that Ashton Jeanty is going to be someone you were probably already playing, right? But because you probably didn't have better options based on where you drafted him in the first round, but you really liked what you saw on that one. Jack, what about let's go with another rookie, Omarion Hampton, because we've been going back and forth on Hampton here a little bit. Like, it's not looking good. You had the unfortunate Najee Harris injury. What was that now? Last week. So he's out for the season. And so Omarion Hampton comes through though, in that game, even though the Chargers lost. We talked about that going up against the Giants, a little bit of a trap game there, but 27.5 fantasy points. And you'll take that every day of the week if you have Omarion Hampton.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm always happy when a rookie does really well. I think it's kind of breaks them out of their shell. It's like a big sigh of relief because then they can kind of play. You know, they're not as worried about having one big breakout game or scoring the first touchdown or something like that. Exactly. I also can't believe the Chargers lost to the Jaxson Dart Giants.
We were saying that.
With no Malik Nabers, too.
I know. We were saying Adam said it was a trap last week. He called it. He was like, this feels like a trap, West Coast going to the East Coast. But that was what I was going to ask you, because you said you are in New York right now. But yeah, the Giants, they needed that so badly, though. They needed some kind of spark. And sometimes with those rookies, Jaxson Dart coming in, you could tell that he just like sparked maybe the organization, but definitely the team.
Yeah, I think sometimes people don't like playing rookie QBs super early and like they want them to sit behind and watch for a little bit. So it was really cool to see him come out, and then immediately, I think he had a rushing touchdown right off the bat. And then, he beat the undefeated Chargers with Herbert, who's a beast. I mean, that was just nuts. I didn't expect that happening.
Yeah, it was Adam again. Maybe Adam expected it, but I didn't. To that extent, I definitely wasn't thinking it was going to go that way. But it was still fun to watch.
I wasn't expecting a win, but I was worried that especially Dart coming in, you could see how fired up the Giants were, especially early in the game, and that it's just that injection of life, and he gave them a bolt. How about George Pickens? CeeDee Lamb out, everyone, their eyes on Pickens, seeing what he could do in the number one role, and he came through last night.
Yeah, I got Pickens on one of my teams, and he put up like 30-plus points. I don't remember what it was, but right around 30, I was pumped.
Yeah, 33.4 PPR fantasy points. Second best output of his 52-game career. And Dak, Adam and I, should we tell him that we benched Dak Prescott in one of our leagues, Adam, or should we keep that to ourselves?
No, I mean, it's fine.
We have to say it. It's the charity league. We're in a charity league, so we were looking around bench Dak Prescott. But Jack, I'm sure, because we're going through the campaign that we're doing with you, and sometimes bad beats happen all the time. But the sitting of Dak Prescott, for anyone that did that, you're probably looking this morning and saying, "Yikes, shouldn't have done that." But you live and you learn.
How many points did Dak have?
Oh.
I didn't look.
Yeah, he had over 30. Because he had three passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember. I actually bet him to score a rushing touchdown at plus 1,000. I was very pumped when he ran that in. But that game was unbelievable last night. It's just such a bummer it ended in a tie.
That's what I told Adam. I said I would have gone to bed if I would have known it was going to end in a tie, because you're not satisfied. What are we doing?
Yeah, I know. It was. I don't know. They got to change that rule, I think.
Adam, did you were happy with that game nonetheless, Adam, because you did
not really. You don't want to see a tie. Yeah, I mean, look,
even
Dallas.
With how Dallas looked.
Yeah, look, they're surprised for sure, because I think a lot of people expected Green Bay to dominate that game, especially with the storyline with Micah Parsons coming back to Dallas and everything. But yeah, I think a tie feels so unsatisfying.
No, what? So I would have gone to bed. Yeah, I'm the one that goes to bed early, even though I'm on the West Coast, and I would have said, you know what, I'm good. I don't need to do this right now. But yeah, the tie was not great, but for fantasy points, like you were super happy. The one more I want to ask you about here, Jack, is just looking over with Drake London, because he's also someone that we've said, just wait it out a little bit, wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, and they actually surprised me too, getting that win, 34-27 win over Washington. But you saw 25 fantasy points in this game, Adam. I mean, that was also a really good one. Something you were waiting for. Now, of course, I believe their bye week is this week, so you have to wait another week for them. But that was a good one with Drake London.
Yeah, I agree. He's a really good receiver. He did really well last year too, and I think it was just a matter of time, really.
Yeah, Adam, you love Drake London.
Yeah, the connection was there with Penix in this game, and the home road splits for Penix are alarming. He's way better at home, and you saw it in this game. He needed to have a big game after the struggles last week and getting shut out against Carolina, and he came through. Penix with 313 and 2 touchdowns, and of course that means Drake London did 10 targets, 8 for 110 and a touchdown, and that's why you drafted London early second round for games like this.
Well, Jack, we appreciate you hanging out with us again. The official grill master, by the way, the coolest title ever, Adam. We might need to change our, I don't know if we can do that, but the official grill master of the Buffalo Bills, creator of Kuso Seasonings, 3.5 million followers on TikTok. One takeaway that someone, if they're trying, the Kuso Seasoning, what's either your favorite one or something they should know before trying those? Because they are some of my favorites right now.
Yeah, I mean, thank you very much. But they're all natural, so they're good quality ingredients. So that's probably my favorite part about them. And then don't be afraid to experiment with them. Don't be afraid to mix them together. You know what I mean? Like if you want to combine 2 seasonings on one steak or something like that, it's a great idea. And then I would just get creative, just start cooking.
I love it. You hear that, Adam? Get creative. Just start using them. Come on. We can go through recipes together. But again, Jack Mancuso, again, I do want to say this. Fantasy Life, we are teaming up with Cusos for the No Bad Beats, No Bad Meats campaign. So you can submit the Bad Beat stories, CusoCuts.com/fantasylife to win free Cusos and have your stories read on the Fantasy Life show with Ian Hartitz. I'll tweet out that link. But Jack, we appreciate you so much for joining us, and hopefully we get to talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me on.
All right, there he goes, Jack. And again, I'll tweet out that link to make sure everyone can see it. We're going to continue on. They're back, Adam, Jordan Addison, talk a little bit about Xavier Worthy, a little Woody Marks story. We're going to go through them coming up next. Could have been worse for Adam's Cowboys. We could say that, Adam. But that's why we like an Overreaction Monday. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us.
Yeah, it definitely could have been much worse. They were
you could have
6.5 point underdogs. I think there might have been some people to Green Bay and Survivor too.
So they just lose those? I haven't actually been in a tie.
Usually it depends on the rules of your contest. I know for the Circa Survivor, which is the huge contest, if you took Green Bay, you're out.
Oh. 2 weeks in a row, they probably kicked some people out.
Who
Definitely.
Who were your selections in Survivor? Your 3 selections.
Let me look.
Oh no, you were down to 2.
I was. Yeah, you don't have to.
I'm just clarifying for the record.
I think I actually took the Seahawks in one. I know that, which was scary and sketchy.
Wow,
I don't know why
I did think
that.
they were gonna win, but
I did too. And then I had the Bills.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm good there. Yeah.
I had the Bills, the Lions, and then I have Denver today.
Denver should be fine. Well,
I should have won New England. That was one of them. I considered it.
I don't know. What we saw with the Panthers last week, I didn't know if maybe this was the turn.
No, it was the fluke.
Because sometimes we've seen Bryce Young. Yeah, well, obviously.
No, I'm saying I would have told you that yesterday.
No, yeah. It made me a little bit nervous, but obviously, yeah, a little fluky. How did the Falcons go from that to doing what they did this past week? That was just odd.
That's the NFL with some of these teams where you look really good one week and then you look terrible the next.
I mean, Drake London did. I mean, I also didn't expect them to win this game 34-27 over the Commanders. We can break that one down, but Drake London scoring almost as many PPR fantasy points in week 4 as he did in the first 3 games combined. So 25 fantasy points, then first 3 games combined, around 30, 29.8 or something like that. So, I mean, he dominated targets in this game, which was a good sign. If you were Kyle Pitts manager, you were happy to see that touchdown as well. But yeah, they've got the bye week. So again, you have to be sure when you're going to the waiver wire this week, make sure you're picking these guys up. They've got a bye week, and then they've got a tough week 6 matchup against the Buffalo Bills, but they'll have a good amount of rest. But it was, yeah, fun to watch the Falcons do their thing.
Yeah, and I think with the bye weeks coming up, Tyler Algier is probably someone
Oh,
that's going to
yeah.
find his way into your lineups because he's still getting the touches. I mean, Bijan Robinson had 21 touches, so tough to complain. But Algier had 16 and had 51 rushing yards and found the end zone as well. So, yes, they are on bye next week, but those difficult weeks at running back, Algier might be a guy to consider in the starting lineup.
Yeah, definitely. He had 10 carries week 1 against Tampa Bay, then you had 16 against Minnesota, only one against Carolina, one carry for 4 yards, then a one reception for nothing. And then 16 for 51. So you were really happy with that, and a touchdown in that game. So if you've been hanging on to him, Tyler Algier, you were definitely happy with what he was giving you if you had to start him as well. Jordan Addison was back. Wanted to say they're back in this segment. See if they're here to stay. This was all right. Caught 4 of 8 targets, 114 yards, and they lost this game. That was an early start. But we'll break down the Steelers. 24-21 loss to the Steelers. But this was his first time seeing any NFL action since serving that 3-game suspension. Again, I don't think you were expecting fireworks, but had a quiet first half, turned things around in the last couple, and he got you some fantasy points. You were happy with it.
Yeah, I have him in one league. I did start him. He
Nice.
was out there a lot. I think that was the good sign is he played a lot of the snaps and probably should have had a touchdown on that long 81 yard or
Yeah.
got caught from behind. Maybe that's not being in the football conditioning, but I think you were pretty happy. Although that Minnesota offensive
Oh
line is
my
a real
gosh.
problem right now, and
Well, and
they have Cleveland
they have
coming up.
so many
Yeah,
injuries. I
lost
was
two more
looking.
linemen during the game.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the whole malfunction of the Minnesota Vikings begins and ends with the offensive line. I know there's a lot of other things if JJ McCarthy ever comes back, it's something that we have to talk about. But I mean, so they entered the game without their left guard, without Donovan Jackson, right? And then in the first half, they lose their right tackle. And then by halftime or at halftime, that's when Ryan Kelly had the concussion, I think. And then you keep going, and it's just like, what is going on here? So yeah, it's brutal. I don't how you have that many injuries and continue forward. They're obviously just going to have a makeshift offensive line, but that is such a huge struggle going forward. Jordan Mason only had 57 yards, 16 carries. Not a great production day, but yeah, not great.
Yeah, and most people obviously were starting Mason. It's just the offensive line took its toll, and he did have 3 catches, 15 yards, but that was definitely a disappointing day for him. But Justin Jefferson, 10 for 126. Carson Wentz continually looking for Jefferson. So if you have
Yeah.
him, you like to see that.
What did Carson Wentz finish with fantasy points wise?
350 passing yards, 2
Yeah, that was
touchdowns, 2
nuts.
picks,
21.2 fantasy points.
12 rushing yards. He was sacked 6 times.
350 is
Yeah.
350 is crazy. But they're going to have major uncertainty up front. I read that Kelly, that concussion, he had one 2 weeks ago or something
hmm
like. This is his 5th documented concussion.
Yeah, that's a
It's
big
not good.
problem.
I think that raises questions like not only short term but long term for your availability, because we talk the same way about someone like Chris Olave. You have to have the same conversations with someone like Kelly. So that is beyond disappointing. But yeah, you got some fantasy points. Jordan Addison with 15. Is he someone, if you're hurting right now and you see 15 points from Jordan Addison, I'm looking at ESPN scoring, is he a potential, I don't know how much when I say sell high here, Adam, but is he a potential sell candidate for you, or is he someone that you actually think can continue producing week in and week out like this?
I think he can continue to produce. We saw it the last couple of years, even with Jefferson on the other side. He finds his way into the end zone. So uh, they just need the offensive line to hold up. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think he'll be fine. I mean, he's going to be what we expected. I think people expected maybe a wide receiver 3, and I think he could finish there.
Overreaction or not, the Titans will have the first pick in the draft next year.
Boy,
Again,
remember when
wow, that looks
you
bad.
were saying, "Oh, it can't get any worse than Will Levis."
That's my
It
It's my
has.
favorite line because the universe always shows me that actually Kendall, it can get worse. That is It is so bad. 0-4 to start the season. You could tell Cam Ward. Did you watch that post-game presser? Did you see
I
some of
saw
the
the
quotes that
comments,
came out?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he is frustrated losing 26-0 against a winless Texans team. It was really bad. 175 total yards of offense, 10 first downs. Horrible.
Yeah, Callahan is probably
He's
now
going
going to be
be
the first coach gone.
Yeah.
And
He's 3-18 in his first 21 games as a head coach.
there's been no progress here. We thought it would be a little bit better with Ward coming in, and it's just brutal right now. This entire offense, like Pollard is the only guy that you could feel decent about starting, and even then, the touchdowns aren't there. I mean, he had 17 touches. I believe Tajay Spears is eligible to come off IR this week. I don't know if he's ready, but that could change things. But Calvin Ridley was 4th on the team at wide receiver in route percentage. It was like at 41%. I mean, it's been bad.
And the one thing that Cam Ward is the most important person in that organization right now. And you need to make sure that he continues to develop so that you're not in a bad spot, 3, 4, 5 years from now. They have 20 points or less in each of their 4 games. And Ward has completed 53.2% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, 63.9 passer rating. It's got to get better for the Tennessee Titans. Don't know if it will though, Adam, but we'll figure it out. It is time for that water cooler. Going through the news and notes, your phone calls, your tweets here coming up next. Oh, it is about that time for the Fantasy Life Water Cooler, where Adam and I go through all the pieces of news that we saw in week 4. Make sure you guys are all up to date, get you ready for that Monday Night Football doubleheader and the waiver wire that is coming up quickly. So make sure you go to fantasylife.com. You can check out all of the tools that we have anytime we reference, our rankings, the projections, everything that is at fantasylife.com. So make sure you go over there, sign up for the newsletter while you're there as well. And if you need an early jump start, if you want to get some of those waiver claims in now, my waiver wire article, if you can, I know some teams aren't able to do that, but if you can, my waiver wire article is live at fantasylife.com. So you can go and check out all of the names I have written. We've got teams going on buys this coming week. So make sure you are prepared. Are you ready to go, Adam? Oh, and of course, the phone lines, 888-963-2682, or you can press that new call-in button on the Sirius XM app. I see some of the questions coming in over on X as well. So if you need a Monday Night Miracle, if you need Adam to tell you that you're absolutely going to win because he's going to be the most positive person here and let you know that if you're down 52 with one player to play, you're totally going to win, you can send those in at Valenzuela 17, right? Come on, at Adam Ronis. You'll tell the good people.
That will be you. You'll lie to them and try to just give them positive vibes, even though you know that it's over.
Well, if it's 50, if you're down 52 and you have one player left, let me just tell you right now, it's probably not going to work out for you. But I hope it does. How's that? I think that's good.
That's fine. That works.
I see one. I'll get started with one question here because I did want to talk about him off the top. But I saw from Josh. Appreciate you, Josh. Just always messaging in and having these questions. But thoughts on Igbuka in fantasy? High on him. Said that huge fan of Igbuka, and I think that's one of these things, Adam, where Mike Evans goes down, that we're going to be without him for at least one more week. I want to say the timeline was closer to 3, though, when they reported that. So probably 2 more weeks if we're going to be totally honest there. But Meke Igbuka comes out and you still get fantasy points. Even with Chris Godwin back, it was nice to see Chris Godwin out there. But Meke Igbuka had 10 targets, 4 receptions, 101 yards, 20 fantasy points. And you'll take that any day of the week, whether it's Igbuka or anyone else, but he's a sensation. If you drafted him, even now I'm looking at all the teams that I have him on and it feels like I just don't have enough. He's been phenomenal.
Yeah, you don't have him in leagues that you're in with me. I know that.
No, I know
because
you would take him. I would say if I was drafting with, our great producer at Fantasy Life, Matt Swing, I said, we should take Igbuka here because I know Adam is drafting ahead of us and he will take him.
I did. And
I know you did.
That team was doing very well too, even with the loss of CeeDee Lamb. But yeah, with Igbuka, I think it was a very difficult matchup. You figured they would move him around. You were hoping you wouldn't see Cooper DeJean, Quinshon Mitchell too much, but he had the 10 targets, which was a season high. Did that 77-yard touchdown probably should have been picked off, and Baker Mayfield has gotten away with a lot of throws this year that have been turnover worthy. But it counts nonetheless, and he came through. And yeah, with Mike Evans out, I would think at least another 2 weeks. They didn't put him on injured reserve, so they don't think it's going to be 4. They said they didn't think he thought it wasn't as bad as last year. I think he missed 3 games last year when he had the hamstring issue. So I would say at least another week, possibly 2. That Igbuka's in a good spot. I was
Yeah.
very surprised that Godwin was really not limited at all. He was
No, he
out
looks good.
a lot.
Hmm.
I think there was definitely rust. You could see it. He was targeted 10 times, only caught 3 passes for 26 yards. But again, tough matchup against Philly. Encouraging that he was out there so much. I thought he was a risky play. Almost any question that involved starting Godwin, it was a different direction for me. And hopefully you did that because 5.6, not great.
Yeah, you don't like that. But it was nice to see him out there. It was one of those things where sometimes when we see guys go back out, you cringe a little bit when they get hit or get taken down. It felt like Chris Godwin though, and knock on wood, but it did look really good when he was out there. 5.6 fantasy points. You don't necessarily want that. I know some people might have been in tougher spots because of all these injuries, especially when we're looking at some of the wide receivers. If you had a flex question, but yeah, it did look really good. And so I'm trying to see their bye week isn't actually for a while. So you're till week 9. So you're pretty good once you get all these guys back. And I think that's the big question with people is once all 3 of them are back out there, but it feels Adam, I mean, how can you look at Igbuka and what's the saying? But you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, can't put the genie back in the bottle. It just, even with all 3 of them out there, who do you would be some it's not going to be Mike Evans either to me. You're not I mean Mike Evans isn't going to get taken back, same with Egbuka, but do you think that they can all live a happy life together at the same time, or is someone going to walk away a loser in fantasy with one of those guys?
I would think most of the time that there probably will be a loser, but my thinking when drafting Igbuka so early and aggressive was he was going to be too good that you would see him just continue a significant role all season long. I mean, there was nothing but rave reviews the entire training camp, whether it was from the coaches, Baker Mayfield, and he's gone out there and produced. So you can't just be like, all right, well, we're going to diminish your role. The other factor was, again, Godwin coming off the injury and Mike Evans being older at 32 years old. And again, don't want to see it, but already dealing with a hamstring issue. So, yeah, I think Egbuka will be pretty good going forward. Like we saw, I think there's probably enough. If this offense, and I think the offense has actually been a little disappointing so far. Again, Baker Mayfield had to rally them in the final minute to get those 3 wins because look at the points they put up 23, 20. They had the 29 against the Jets, and then they put up 25 this week. But it just feels like it's kind of a battle to put up points. It's not smooth. I mean, they had 2 basically long plays yesterday. The 77-yard reception for a touchdown for Igbuka, and I think it was 72 yards for Bucky Irving on his reception. So it was really 2 long touchdowns. Outside of that, like it was kind of a struggle for this offense right now. So they also are dealing with injuries on the offensive line. So it could get better, and there might be room for all 3 because they really don't utilize a tight end much.
Yeah, no, Kate Otten was, yeah, he's not going to be someone that I know that I got that question too because Mike Evans went out and it was one of those things where, okay, Mike Evans is out, maybe a Chris Godwin slow start, but what are the expectations for Chris Godwin in this week 4 game? But it was nothing. There was nothing there. Or I'm sorry, not Chris Godwin, Kate Otten.
Yeah, look,
He
we've
just
seen
wasn't
this.
there.
The only time Otten had a stretch last year was when Godwin and Evans were out. Both of them were
Yeah.
out, and they really didn't have anyone else. And he had like a 3-game stretch. Outside of that, it's just he's not used enough.
Yeah, no, but you're any way you look at it, you're so happy with Emeka Egbuka and what he's brought you so far. And so yeah, this game, I do agree with you though on like Baker Mayfield. He was making those big plays once the offense finds a rhythm, you're like, okay, here we go. It's able to happen here. I think the Bucks turnovers finally caught up with them as well. But overall, good game, fun to watch. And Emeka Egbuka, you're starting him everywhere if you have him and you're excited about it. Going next here in the water cooler, I see your phone calls as well. Appreciate you guys holding on. We are absolutely going to get to you all over there. Lamar Jackson, we have to go there. Lamar Jackson suffered a hamstring strain. I think the last I saw this morning was that the further evaluations are coming this morning or this afternoon. He left that game yesterday. They lost to the Chiefs 37-20, but he left in the 3rd quarter with that hamstring injury. So I hope we get more clarity about his status today, but man, this team does not look very good right now. I wrote up in one of our overreactions that, and you can tell me if it's an overreaction or not, that the Ravens are going to miss the playoffs. We knew that one of these teams in this game was going to turn to 1-3, and it turned out to be Baltimore. And the Ravens have been an extremely popular preseason pick for Super Bowl favorites. We've been doing this year in and year out with them. But right now, Adam, there's 9 teams in the AFC with better records than the Ravens right now, and only 7 in these formats can make the playoffs. So you already know that the Steelers somehow are going to make their way, and they're 3-1 right now, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, Lamar Jackson leaving this game with a hamstring injury, not great, and just what we've seen from Baltimore as well, not necessarily pretty either.
So I think they still can because of the division. Now, a lot comes down to the status of some of these injuries. Roquan Smith left the game. Marlon Humphrey left the game. They have a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the football. They've also played, 3 of the top teams in the NFL. If you still consider Kansas City up there, Detroit, Buffalo, no excuse, because if you're going to be a top team, you have to win those games. Ronnie Stanley also left the game with an ankle injury. So
they just have so many injuries.
Yeah. So, but when you look at the division, they absolutely can still win this division if the injury list is not devastating. Because you mentioned Pittsburgh at 3-1. I don't think they're that good. I know we do this every year with the Steelers under Mike Tomlin.
No, I agree with you. I just can't believe
they have not been good defensively. And yeah, it was better yesterday because they were facing Minnesota and that offensive line. But if you go look at the quarterbacks they faced and the yards they've given up, it's not encouraging. I don't think anyone believes that the Bengals are going to make a run at 2-1 with Jake Browning at quarterback and the way they looked last week. And it was the Minnesota defense. Let's see how they look tonight against Denver. But if the injuries aren't that bad, especially Lamar Jackson, who they'll need, they can still win this division.
I'm more thinking that the Ravens are too good to be playing like this. And I know that when we talk about injuries, like on the defense, they against the Chiefs, they made the Chiefs look like the Chiefs again. And they were able to score on 7 of their first 8 possessions. And like you said, they lost. I mean, it was Roquan Smith, Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey in this game. And those are significant losses. A defense that has allowed what it was 40 to the Bills, 38 to the Lions, and now 37 to the Chiefs. So I just think they're too good to be looking like this. It will make me a lot more nervous if we don't have Lamar Jackson. If he misses a significant period of time, which we hope he doesn't, this Ravens team, they need everyone at full strength. And we can talk about how disappointing it's been with Derrick Henry so far. Maybe we are seeing that cliff come together here for him, an age cliff. But yeah, I'm just surprised with how it looked. But I think they started the season last year 0-2, right?
I think, or 1-2. They tend to get off to slow starts.
So, I mean, and look at what they did. They were still able to win it. So it's one of those things where you're just hoping that Lamar Jackson's injury isn't a long-term thing, and we should get clarity on that today. But those hamstrings, those are tricky.
And the schedule does get better. Now they're home to the Texans in week 5. We know the Texans have a good defense. Home to the Rams in week 6. That's a tough matchup. Then they're on bye. Then after that, the Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals, Steelers, Bengals, Patriots, Packers, Steelers. So
they have that many games left.
Yeah, so they have a nice stretch where, again, especially after that bye, they have a lot of winnable games. And then again, for the division, you get the Steelers twice, so you beat them. So they still, I'm interested to see what their odds are, especially to win the division.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
you see it with Schefter.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, you want to do it?
No, you can do it. You saw it.
Look at us on the same mid-season form here, folks. But not great news here from Adam Schefter. We are in the water cooler, so perfect time to bring this up. MRI today confirmed that the Giants' standout wide receiver Malik Nabers did suffer a season-ending torn ACL during that game yesterday, going up against the Chargers. Again, Adam, we figured, when he went down, he was just in so much pain. He was grabbing that knee, and you hoped that it wouldn't be as bad as it looked, but it definitely was. So again, season-ending torn ACL for Malik Nabers, which is so disappointing. I asked you this before the show, but OBJ had that tweet yesterday. I don't know if anyone saw it, or looked at it, but he was saying, the quote was, "I mean this with the utmost love and respect. The NFL needs to take all the precautions in the world when it comes to player health and safety. Get rid of the turf." So that was a lot of people said that yesterday for the MetLife turf, but super disappointing for Nabers. Oh, that sucks.
Yep, a first-round pick pretty much in every single league, and I have him in a few, and it's devastating, and especially for the Giants. You get your quarterback in Jaxson Dart, everyone's excited, and it doesn't even take that long for his top receiver to go down. So, yeah, it's brutal. Again, nothing you can do in fantasy. You just got to move on, do what you can to pick up the pieces off the waiver wire, make a trade, and hopefully you drafted well, maybe have some depth where you can find someone on your bench to plug in. But, yeah, look, everyone deals with injuries. This obviously is more devastating because it's the rest of the season. But, yeah, nothing you could do at this point. So just look ahead and do whatever you can to make your team better.
All right, my waiver wire article too, live at fantasylife.com if you want some names to go and pick up. But again, Malik Nabers is out for the season. He did tear his ACL, so we won't be able to see him for the rest of the way. And we hope that he just has a speedy recovery, and we can't wait to be talking about him this time next season. Let's go out to the phone lines now, Adam. I know people have questions. We got the Monday Night Football doubleheader tonight. 888-963-2682 is the phone number to call in. So let's start off with, John in New Jersey. You guys could get lunch after this. John, what do you got for us? It'll be fun.
Hey guys, appreciate everything you guys do. I have a star-stick question, but then I do have unfortunately, I'm one of those victims of Malik Labor. I can't even say it. I'm so devastated. Nabers.
We got it. Yeah.
So I do have I have a boatload of running backs. If you could give me some advice on trade offers, but I'm 5 points behind tonight. Even with Nabers going down, thank you to Mr. Irving and Detroit's defense. Mm-hmm. He has Tyreek Hill. Now, do I plug in Dobbins, Jake Burrow, or Franklin in there? And then I do have ask another question about trading.
Who was the second guy?
Who was the second? Browning?
Jake Browning.
So it's super flex?
I don't have to put him in there.
Super flex, but you don't have to. Ooh, that's interesting. 5 points behind with Tyreek Hill, though.
Don't you always have to play the quarterback?
Against, yes.
He's going to pass a lot.
So.
I mean, could it be as bad as last week? I understand that, but I think usually you're going to go with the quarterback.
If it's super flex, then yeah. It's 5 points behind. You just hope that Tyreek Hill doesn't have a big game, right? And he gets you 10, 15, right? 10 to 12, really. Let's be realistic here. But I think you do go Browning there. And then, John, you said you had a few running backs that you had a question on?
Yeah, so I have Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, Trey Benson, Trayvon Henderson, and Dobbins. Which one of those guys would be a good trade bait for like a decent receiver?
Yeah, I don't want to give up Jonathan Taylor, right? I don't necessarily want to give up Bucky Irving either, right? Adam,
I think what you do is you hope Dobbins has a good game tonight, and then maybe try and move him because we still are worried about the long-term health. Again, last year he was fine, and then towards the end, and maybe he's over it, and maybe he has a great year in this offense. You do have RJ Harvey there too, who maybe at some point emerges. So especially if Dobbins has a good game tonight, it's probably him. You're just not going to get anything for Henderson right now. He's still stuck in this three-way committee. The hope was with Stevenson losing 2 fumbles last week and Gibson losing 1, Henderson would get a bigger role. It did not happen. He did score the touchdown, but it was basically he was still behind Stevenson in touches. Yeah. So you're not going to get what you want for him. Benson's coming off a disappointing game. I think it will be better. So I don't know if you're going to get much for him when people just see that game in his first one as the main back for Arizona. So, yeah, if Dobbins has a good game tonight, he would be the one.
And he should have a good game
I do
against
too,
this
yeah.
Cincinnati Bengals defense. So he's giving you 14.8, 15.5, 15.3. So I do agree. You wait for this hopefully big explosion game for this team going up against Cincinnati and their bad defense. Broncos are at home tonight in this one. And then you hope to get rid of or trade for someone good looking at Dobbins. So appreciate you, John. You guys, what, Adam, you didn't want to get lunch? You didn't connect?
Oh,
We'll connect
I'm
with you later.
interested. I'm getting hungry now, so.
All right, appreciate you, John. Let's continue on. Let's go out to Bob in Chicago. Bob, what do you got for us?
How's it going? I need 10 points to win. I got either Chase Brown or Cortland Sutton in the flex to win it. Which one do you think?
Cortland Sutton. I don't see.
Chase Brown has been
it's
bad.
been brutal for Chase Brown. The volume is there, and you hope it gets better, but you got to play Sutton in this situation.
And he just has a better. It's just going to be better, just outright from a full game standpoint. This team, this Cincinnati Bengals team, their defense is going to continue to be bad. You know that this Denver Broncos team is just desperate for this win, and so they're going to be at home. They're going to have full force, and so I think it's Cortland Sutton there as well. Let's finish this up. Let's go out to Mike in California. Depending on where you are, Mike, maybe Adam, you could fly over. We could get lunch, whatever it is. Mike, what do you got for us?
Hey, morning, guys. I need some help here. I need some luck. I'm up 121.98. He's at 110. I'm done. So, am I going to survive 12 points? He's got Jaylen Waddle.
Oh, Waddle? Okay, Adam. What do you think here? Up 12. That's going to be close.
That's going to be a huge sweat. Basically, you need Waddle to stay out of the end zone. And the thing is, you would think that Tyreek Hill sees more of Sauce Gardner. They're still going to try and get the ball to Tyreek, but that's going to be a sweat for you.
He's found the end zone in consecutive games too, Jaylen Waddle.
I know.
Hey, by the way, his 2 touchdowns already matches his total from 2024. You know how sick that is? We only had 2 touchdowns from Waddle last season. Yeah.
I know. I think Waddle's going to have a decent game, though, so I think you'll be sweating. He's got to stay out of the end zone for you. If he finds the end zone, then obviously you're done.
He has a decent game, but not against you, Mike. That's the only time. If people need him to win, they're going to get it, but not 12 points. That's all we can hope for you. But appreciate all of you guys calling in. Mike, Bob, John. Again, the phone number here, 888-963-2682, or you can press that new call-in button on the Sirius XM app. We are going to keep going because we have to talk about some of the fantasy losers from the week, what our expectations should be with them moving forward. Yes, we do have to continue talking about maybe a little Ad McConkey, Derrick Henry, Geno Smith. What are we doing, Adam? We're going to do that here coming up next. Oh, it is a great Monday. Kind of a good Monday. I don't know, Adam. There was still some injuries, some weird stuff in fantasy, but we got the Bad Bunny news. Bad Bunny Super Bowl. I know you're so excited. You could care less. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I know there's a lot of people upset.
I like him.
I know you were very happy about it.
I know. I was so pumped. I love Bad Bunny.
I love how they were like, we're going to let you know who's going to be the performer tonight, when it was like well known like hours before that.
What? You didn't text me then. I didn't know.
I didn't know I had to text you every bit of news item.
Yeah,
you message and you're like, I'm hearing Bad Bunny. I'm like, yes, it's true. And you're like,
I know, but why wouldn't you text me that? I thought we were friends.
Well, you knew.
That's fine. Well,
you just wanted to watch
the
broadcast and be all excited.
No, I was listening to Bad Bunny music by that time.
Okay.
But once it leaked, once you told me, gosh, you have to keep me in the know here, Adam. What are we doing?
Okay. I didn't know what the list
had
is
no
of
idea.
Required texts for news stuff.
Anything.
Now I know.
Anything and everything.
Anything music-wise?
I saw Adele was close or something like that, but I was thinking, what would we do at an Adele Super Bowl? Cry?
Yeah. We don't want that.
I
I cry enough watching my teams. I don't need to cry at the Super Bowl.
You're like, don't worry. I do that every week with the Cowboys. You're so funny. All right, Bad Bunny, by the way, Super Bowl halftime, if you guys didn't hear that one. Wanted to continue on through some fantasy week 4 losers, and these guys may have lost in week 4, Adam, but it's fine. You won't lose with Xfinity's 5-year price guarantee, so this is presented here by Xfinity. Justin, the other side of this game for the Giants, we said all the good things, but Justin Herbert and Ladd McConkey, you were not happy and excited about this one. Herbert had a season low 12.52 fantasy points. He completed only 56% of his passes, 2 interceptions going up against that New York defense. And then McConkey caught 1 of 6 targets. Woof. For 11 yards, he had 2.1 fantasy points. He is my top guy to bring up tomorrow with Paul Charchian, but this was not good for them.
Yeah, it's been a pretty, like, the other weeks weren't bad for McConkey, but you were not expecting the competition level from Quentin Johnston and Keenan Allen, because I think McConkey's been outscored by them in every game this year. Quentin Johnston, 13 targets to lead the team. He's not going away. Yeah, McConkey, look, there's really nothing much you can do. He's not going to return the value when you drafted him. He was generally second, third round pick, and he's clearly not going to deliver on that. It should get better, I think.
Should it?
He has not.
There's a big question mark in that tone.
He has not scored a touchdown yet, and he's been held to 48 yards or fewer in 3 straight games. So, yeah, it's not good right now if you have McConkey.
It's not. I think the rest of the way I was looking through early rankings for week 5, and I think that he is just a wide receiver 3 going forward for me.
Yeah,
and
probably.
I just the bump in volume, like you said it, the bump in volume for Quentin Johnston, and the shout out, I think it was Joey earlier who sent us this message saying Quentin Johnston was a steal. Looks like the one in LA. And I do agree. We were talking about players that are just going to return epic value for you. So Javonte Williams was someone we mentioned, but Quentin Johnston and the way that he has just really changed how we view him, because before it was just that it was a lot about the drops. It was just that he was not clutch and you could not trust him to put him out there for just your regular NFL team, for the Chargers, and for your fantasy teams. But you see a bump in volume for Quentin Johnston. You have the presence of Keenan Allen, who brings that vet presence, who you probably knew was going to slot in and be at least some kind of a factor. I did not expect this for Keenan Allen. And someone has to lose in that situation, and it is Ladd McConkey right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Keenan Allen signing was probably one of the worst things that happened to McConkey, because remember, they had Mike Williams. If they had Mike Williams there instead, then it would be way different.
Randomly.
But Quentin Johnston was a first-round pick, and he did have a strong finish last year, and he did score 8 touchdowns last year. So he had a massive game to finish last year. 13 catches, 186 yards on 14 targets. But, yeah, I did pick him up in a league after week 1 and started him.
He was available? Nice.
Yeah, he would, but in leagues with like 16 roster spots, he wasn't drafted maybe in all of them. But he has obviously been one of the better values for sure, because he went from a guy that was on your bench to now you're putting him in your lineup every week, and you're probably ranking him. You're probably ranking him as the top receiver on the Chargers going forward. I know I'm working on my rest of the season rankings today, so they should be up tonight or tomorrow, and he's probably going to be top Chargers guy.
Crazy how the times change, and that we're saying that right now, but he's averaged 9.3 targets per game with the Chargers this year.
Do you want to know where Ladd McConkey is in points per game at wide receiver?
Maybe I'll cry.
What would you guess in PPR?
Where he's at for just PPR fantasy points per game?
Yeah, wide receiver.
55.
Wow, 54.
Did I get it? Oh, dang. Nice. Wow, that's awful.
Right ahead of him.
Celebrating that.
Right ahead of him at 53 is AJ Brown.
Oh God, stop. I'm so talking about an overreaction. I'm just not even going to talk about him. I can't. What are we going to say? There's nothing to say with AJ Brown. I mean, it's just going to be this way the rest of the way. And I'm going down with it. You know what I mean? You can't get any value from him. No one's going to want to take him from you. So I'm just going to live with the L that is having AJ Brown on my roster. But man, I can't keep writing him up, Adam. It's the same thing week in and week out.
Yeah, so I do a surprises and disappointments late Sunday night. And I said for the disappointments, this section is probably going to have to be renamed the AJ Brown. Because he's in it every week outside of last week. It's 3 out of 4 weeks he's been in there. And it's going to get to the point where it's not a disappointment anymore, because, we expected 2 catches for 10 yards.
2 catches, 10 yards. Yeah, it's fine. You should. And I told you, I'm going to ride with it.
They were trying to force the ball to him yesterday, too.
Well, come on. What are we doing?
Yeah, it's late, pretty bad at this point.
It's horrible. I mean, they have the Eagles offense just
The crazy part is they
even
can't
go
run the
through
football
it.
right now. You
Well, I
realize
know.
that? Do you see how bad Barkley's numbers are?
Do I see it? Do I have some of the stats for you, Adam? My overreaction today was that Saquon Barkley will not rush for 1,000 yards this season. And I really don't know if that's an overreaction for him, but he had 19 carries for 43 yards and a touchdown in that win. He's averaging just 2.3 yards per carry. His longest run was 10 yards. And they can't create any lanes for him.
Yeah, the offensive line is really bad right now. So because of that, I took Saquon Barkley's receiving prop over 13 and a half yards. I know it went up, but when I got it, it was 13 and a half because I figured they were not going to have a lot of success on the ground against Tampa. They're tough to run against with Vita Vea there. And so I took the receiving prop, which did go over pretty early. But yeah, nice. Saquon Barkley now, the last 2 weeks, he has 37 carries for 89 yards.
It's insane.
On 3.1 yards per carry on the season. Yeah.
77 carries for 237 and 3.1, like you just said. They're 4-0. That's the more disappointing part. And that's not it's just one of those things where if they're in a different situation, we had to see it with A.J. Brown last week where we say, okay, maybe he's back, but it's just they're winning these games. They're 4-0. In spite of Barkley's struggles, in spite of not really needing to get Devontae Smith involved to get A.J. Brown. So that's the more frustrating part from a fantasy perspective.
And look, as bad as we just gave those numbers, Barkley is still averaging 15.3 points per game in a PPR. So it's not even close, obviously, to what he did last year. But I think a lot of people expected a drop off. I know in a lot of leagues I drafted in, Barkley was like 6, 7, 8, 9, right?
Yeah,
usually a player coming off the season that he had easy top 3. That wasn't the case in a lot of leagues. Now, maybe in your home leagues, people were. But I know in a lot of the leagues I was in, I don't think I saw Barkley go top 3, top 4 in any league that I drafted.
Yeah, I would agree. This was the year that people just said, you know what? He went late into February, and I still didn't think it was an awful pick, to be totally honest. I didn't mind it, but I understood why people went and I went a different direction as well. Getting a Jamar Chase, someone else in that front.
And there's still a lot of
time.
Yeah, time to be for sure. The offensive line could get better, but again, he's still getting heavy volume. It's just he's not close to the ceiling that he was giving you last year.
Yeah, it's beyond disappointing, and we're right there with you. But you said he's still giving you fantasy points, and AJ Brown, who should not be named. Maybe we just don't even.
Smith too. Smith had another down game too, 2 for 26.
I think if we ignore them, then maybe they do better, right? So maybe we don't talk about them all week.
You need them to fall behind like they did against the Rams, where they're forced to pass. But how many games are we going to get? I know. I was just going to say, how many games are we getting out of that?
Let me hear.
They're playing the Giants 2 of the next 4 weeks.
No, I know. They have the Broncos at home. Maybe the Broncos defense steps up there. And then you said
short week for Denver.
They play the Giants. They're on the road going up against the Vikings. They play the Giants again, but this time they're at home. Packers maybe. Lions, then they play the Cowboys.
So you might get a couple, but you're going to have weeks where and then he had that, you saw his thing on social media that everyone's talking about.
I love following wide receivers on social media. They're so dramatic. I love them though. What do you say? Do you have it in front of you?
I don't have it in front of me, no.
I can get it. We'll talk about it. But yeah, it's just so disappointing. But one thing that I know is not going to be disappointing is talking with Jonathan Von Tobel here, doing early look aheads for week 5. And again, this was presented by Xfinity, because as much as we can be upset at him, and we are very, very much upset with some of these performances, you will not be upset with Xfinity introducing the 5-year price guarantee, one consistent internet price for the next 5 years, totally guaranteed. We're talking with Jonathan Von Tobel, getting his takes on the doubleheader tonight and his takes for week 5 here coming up next. This is Fantasy Life right here on this Monday morning, Monday afternoon, depending on where you're listening to us from. But we appreciate having Jonathan Von Tobel here with us, previewing tonight's games. Again, doubleheader tonight, and then getting into all of the action for week 5. On-air host and betting analyst at VSiN. You can always find him on Money Moves, Countdown to Kickoff, and a Live Bet Sunday. Unfortunately, Jonathan, we don't get to say, we still can say nice things about your Colts, but this is the first week where we said, dang, don't have another win, but that's okay. Still looked all right.
Yeah, looked good. Had 2 touchdowns essentially taken off the board with both AD Mitchell at the center of them, right? I think he got called for the hold on the Jonathan Taylor run, and then of course dropped the touchdown. Very terrible flashbacks to last year in Denver, where Jonathan Taylor did the exact same thing, where they were about to mollywop the Denver Broncos and control a wild card, and instead it all falls apart. But like you said, good effort. And now they get a winnable game against the Raiders this week, so we'll see if they can improve to 4-1.
I like it. Again, talking with Jonathan Von Tobel, this is one of my favorite things to do early in the week with you, Jonathan, is go through, what your expectations are, some of these games for early week 5. But before we get into that, we've got 2 games tonight, and I can start with the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins, which, by the way, we have way too many Miami Dolphins primetime games. I don't know who you need to call, or maybe Adam and I don't know what we're doing, but looking that they have 5 primetime games this season. I don't know what they were thinking about that, but this won't be the last that we see of the Dolphins in primetime. But your expectations for this game, or what you're thinking here. I know the total set at 44.5, and then the New York Jets are underdogs in this one, traveling on the road to Miami.
Yeah, well, it's a teasable game if you're at a book where you find teasers still palatable in terms of the price. Both of these games are, in fact. You can put a Monday night teaser together, get the Broncos down to 1.5, and tease the Jets up to 8.5. And with some low totals, those are pretty good numbers to get through. For this game, though, I'll put this up front. I am wildly anti-Dolphin. This was my thing heading into the year. I've got some alternate under-win totals on the Miami Dolphins. Thought they would be a sneaky candidate to have the first overall pick. I think this team stinks, and I think there's a lot of bad things going on with them. This number right now would tell you that they are better than the New York Jets. I don't believe that to be the case. I think these two teams are equals at worst with one another. So I have a teaser leg. One of the legs is closed already. Teased the Texans down against the Tennessee Titans, and I do have the Jets up to 8.5. And I'll be waiting because it looks like the market is resisting, but we might get to some sort of 3 by the time we get to kickoff later tonight. And if that's the case, I'll take 3 as well with the Jets. I think they're worth it on a money line play. This is my anti-Dolphin sentiment coming out, but I've been trying to play against this team as often as possible, and this is just going to be another week of doing just that.
Any appealing player props in this game that stand out that you're on tonight?
Yeah, I thought the rushing attempts for Justin Fields. So some spots you could find 9.5. Other spots though mostly are 8.5, slightly shaded to the over, like a very palatable -120. I think going over that for Fields is definitely worth looking at. I think we saw in that first game when he was entirely healthy against the Steelers, they were willing to run him. I think they had 12 attempts total on the ground with him. 6 or 7 of those, according to PFF, were designed runs. I think that they want to make sure these teams know you have to account for the quarterback in the run game, and I think that opens up a lot of things for guys in this on this team like Breece Hall and others to have an explosive running attack. So I think Justin Fields, they are going to run him, and I think going over 8.5 at -120 on rushing attempts was the way to go for this one. And they don't have to depend on yards; just need them to run as opposed to needing production. So I think that's something that is I like to go toward, like attempts, receptions, things like that, where I don't need more out of them. I would just need them to have the workload that I expect them to have.
Well, and all fantasy managers would like that as well, because they weren't able to have him last week with that concussion. Thankfully, he was able to come back. Adam and I were worried that because of how early they ruled him out last week, that maybe there was a chance that he wasn't going to play in this one. But you get Justin Fields back, and you hope that in this one against a, like you said, bad Miami Dolphins team, he's able to step up. The second game tonight, Cincinnati Bengals on the road taking on the Denver Broncos, who we've said Denver's probably going to want to come out firing on all cylinders because they want this win bad. Total set at 44.5, and then of course the Denver Broncos are favored at home. Anything you like looking at this game right away?
I do like, and it's because I don't like. I dove in with Cincinnati plus 7.5. I'm sorry, but I don't think Bo Nix is a particularly great quarterback. There's a lot of great numbers that would point to this fact. The fact that he's 30th in EPA and CPOE composite, 35th in PFF passing grade among qualified quarterbacks. The basic metrics, 5.6 yards per attempt on just a really average depth of target. I think the thing that is most shocking, though, his protection numbers are among the best in the NFL. He's one of the least pressured quarterbacks in the NFL. Their pass rush win rate is some of the best for an offensive line, yet he has still been struggling through the early portion of this year. I'm not really big on this. And on our show, we do these things called market power ratings, where you can evaluate by where the betting market is at, where the market power rates these squads like the Cincinnati Bengals. And right now, with this 7.5, you would put the Cincinnati Bengals on par with teams like the Cleveland Browns. And in fact, going into this week, they were worse than the Cleveland Browns, according to the betting market. I just don't buy that at this point right now for Cleveland or for Cincinnati. I know last week looked pretty bad, but I think we learned early morning on Sunday, you're not as good as you were last week, as we saw from the Minnesota Vikings. So I took 7.5. I think the number's too big from a side perspective with Cincinnati.
What any player props, and specifically, what are your thoughts on Jamar Chase? We never see his numbers this low, 63.5 to 66.5, depending on the book, and he has gone under in 2 of the 3 games so far this year. But is this a Jamar Chase night, or are you worried about potential the shadow coverage of Patrick Surtain?
Well, I think some of it does depend, I do think, about how you believe this game will go. The number would tell us that they'll probably be in a deficit of some sort, and thus more passing attempts for Browning and maybe more targets for Jamar Chase. So if you're somebody that's pro Broncos, I think you'll probably lean a little bit more toward Chase. And I just think in general, to your point, you'll probably see a game plan geared toward getting him somewhat active just because of the way that he's been performing. 5 receptions on 6 targets last week for just 50 yards. But that was against a very good defense. This is a good one as well. But you would think that maybe this is going to be a little bit different in how they're going to try to get him the ball. Maybe a little bit more downfield. I was surprised that last week his average depth of target was only 5 yards downfield. So maybe try to get a little bit more explosive. So instead of potentially over on the receptions or yards, longest reception for Jamar Chase might be something worth looking at, trying to gear him to get him out there in space and get an explosive play out of him. But for a prop overall, look, again, going back to the sentiment that I feel, not to just continue to pick on the guy, but Bo Nix under passing yards, I think is going to be something worth looking at here, mainly because I just don't think that's what Sean Payton wants. I think if you're going over 220.5 passing yards, you're not running the ball as well as you want to. I think that there is a clear game plan here for Nix and the Broncos offense to establish this ground game, dominate time of possession, and not ask him to do too much. And I think under 220.5 passing yards for Nix, who has clearly been down this year in the early going, I think that's an easy mark to get under.
Again, talking with Jonathan Von Tobel here. Before we get you out, just really quickly, anything that caught your eye for early week 5? We go through some of those lines. I saw 49ers Rams started at 3 or 3.5, but that moved so quickly. So I don't even know if that's something you're looking at.
I would agree with it. I'll say that up to 4. I think this Rams team's legit. They finally exposed Xavier Howard in this Colts secondary, so that's pretty big. But not to curry favor for a second straight week. But last Monday I was with you guys and talked about Seattle going off as a small favorite on the road against Arizona and liking them there, and they got it done. I'll go back to the well with your Seahawks here. I think it's a brutal spot for Tampa Bay. I mean, you have that game against Philadelphia. Now you got to go cross country to take on the Seahawks, who have some extra rest and time to get ready for that team that is still a little thin. I think laying 3. I would expect that maybe this number gets to like 3.5 potentially, but I think the Seahawks are in a good spot this weekend.
Something I obviously love to hear going into the week. That's a great way to start my Monday. Jonathan, we appreciate you so much as always. Always look forward to talking with you on these Mondays, and we'll get to talk to you and do it next week.
Yep, you got it. Thanks, guys.
All right, there he goes. Jonathan Von Tobel there, again, on-air host and betting analyst at VSiN. You can find him on Money Moves, Countdown to Kickoff, and Live Bet Sunday. You hear that, Adam? Checks in the mail. Seahawks this week. Let's go.
It's all Seattle right now. You're looking good in cross baseball too.
Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started. We could do the whole final segment on Seattle sports. Should we do that? Just when
better
people
better than my teams right now.
It's obviously something that everyone wants to talk about. No, just kidding. We won't do that to you, but we will talk about this doubleheader tonight. I see some Monday Night Miracles that people might need in this spot here, Adam. So we'll go through all of your tweets that we can and break down these 2 games here coming up next. As always, appreciate everyone hanging out with us on this Monday morning, this Overreaction Monday. And we know that there's going to be a lot of overreactions probably tomorrow as well, Adam, because we've got 2 games tonight for this Monday Night Football doubleheader. New York Jets on the road taking on the Miami Dolphins, and then the Cincinnati Bengals on the road taking on the Denver Broncos. And I see some questions here at Valenzuela 17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. We'll break down these games, but curious for you, Kenny sent in a message saying need 16.06 from Bo Nix. Do I have a chance? I do think he has a chance, at least. I'm looking at, you want to know our projections?
What do we got?
So projections at fantasylife.com. So he's projected for 17.3 fantasy points, and that's the median, right? So 212.4 passing yards, 1.5 touchdowns, and then looking at 23.4 rushing yards. The Xfinity best score, though, the highest projected points that we could maybe expect is 29.9. Again, the Xfinity best score powered by Xfinity, so you can go and check that out at fantasylife.com in our projections. But I do think for 16.06, you do have a chance there.
Yeah, you definitely have a chance. The matchup, Bo Nix has not been good. He just has been a big disappointment so far. The Bengals have been middle of the pack, allowing fantasy points to quarterbacks. They've faced Flacco, Trevor Lawrence, and Carson Wentz. So not the top guys that you
No.
you expect those guys not to perform very well. So you got to see something out of Knicks. But you look at the pass attempts, and Jonathan brought it up. They've been going down every single week for Knicks. 40, 30, 25. So you're kind of seeing
31.
that.
We have him for 31 tonight.
Yeah, look, this should be, you need to see a good game from Bo Nix tonight in this matchup at home against the Bengals. Like, this is a game you need to get his confidence going because, I mean, his season high in passing are just 206. He's been held under 200 twice. 3 interceptions in 3 games, only 5 touchdowns. He's running, but not efficiently, 3.7 yards per carry. So, yeah, it's been a pretty disappointing start here for Bo Nix to the season, with Denver coming into this game at 1-2. And again, the only win was against Tennessee. And even then,
that's bad.
It was only an 8-point win. It wasn't like they ran away with that. So, you need to see a good game out of Denver tonight, specifically Bo Nix.
Yeah, you got 6 fantasy points in that game against Tennessee. Indianapolis, you got all the way up to 20.24. And then against the Chargers last week, it was 13.42 for Bo Nix. So you want fantasy points. I think he can get 16.06, but again, I like our projections for it. I'm curious on the other side, though. Really, the big question for a lot of people has been Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Now, we're expecting Jamar Chase, of course, to get met by Patrick Surtain, and that obviously takes away a lot of what he can do here. But on the other side, it's also, does that mean T. Higgins is going to have the ability to not, I don't want to say go off, but at least have a better game because he won't get much of that coverage from Surtain? I see our projections, Xfinity best, 33 for Jamar Chase. Again, that's the best, the best that we think that he can do. And then T. Higgins sitting at 25.1, but our regular projections, 16.8 for Jamar Chase and then 12 for T. Higgins. What do you think?
I think actually both could do well. We did see Surtain get beat a couple times by Quentin Johnston last week, and Jamar Chase is an elite receiver. So they'll find ways either to move him around, get the ball in his hands. The Broncos have allowed 288 passing yards per game over the last 2. And you have to figure Cincinnati's going to throw a lot in this game. Yes, it did not go according to plan last week against Minnesota. That is a really good defense. And they just put a lot of pressure on them, and it didn't work out. So I'd expect a better performance here a week later. Again, we did see Browning put up decent games a couple years ago, filling in for Burrow. So
yeah,
I think you should see better performances from both wide receivers for the Bengals.
You hope to get back to it at least, right? We've got him projected, Browning, that is 220 passing yards, 1.2 touchdowns. You're looking at pass attempts sitting at 32, projected 14.4 fantasy points in this game. Xfinity best 23.8. All right, who are you taking in this one?
Denver will win.
Denver. All right,
Yeah.
What about the first one? What about Miami going up against the Jets?
The
Who you
Jets.
got there? Oh, the Jets. I like
Yeah.
that. That'll be fun. Hopefully we have good games. Miami Dolphins. How do we get 5 primetime games?
Yeah, we got to
Miami?
stop this.
What are we doing? Who
Flex
made
them
this
out
decision?
late in the year, please.
Who made these decisions? Let's figure it out. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us today. Good luck tonight, and we will see you same time here tomorrow.